Hello, everybody, and welcome to Water Cooler Gossip Q&As on 6++. This is our aftermath show. This is when we all sit in the ruins of all the stuff that happened on the weekend, take a look at the game, maybe talk about some cool stuff that we did, if we happen to have done some cool stuff. Fortunately, this weekend we did do some cool stuff. Me and Ed had a good time.
Yeah.
Hello, Ed. How are you?
All the better for seeing you, Tom, as per usual.
Oh, you little flirt. I understand you're a sleepy boy. Have you had a
I
long
am a
journey
sleepy
home?
boy. It was a long journey home. We didn't get back till like 3:30 in the morning. I was like, oh my god, this is
Yeah, you
awful.
guys came quite the way. So obviously, this was the South Coast Super Major. It's the latest UKTC Super Major. And it took place in Havant, which is right down on the coast. So for me, this was lovely because my parents live like 40 minutes from there. So I was like, this is easy. For Ed, that is a long, old journey. So I think we'll probably be talking through a little bit about the state of the game. Because there certainly are some interesting things on the state of the game.
There are.
There's definitely some things to think about on that score, I think.
I'll agree with that statement, yeah.
Yeah, the game. I'm going to say we're going to be doing a Tuesday show thinking about whether the game needs an emergency patch. Me and Ed won't panic about that today, but we will certainly say it as we see it and talk about how we observed it. Go ahead.
I think it's fine. I beat it all
I
the way.
think it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, no
I think
problem.
sustain 2 army wide is fine. 1 CP to do advance and charge, +1 strength, +1 attack, 5 vim burn, all that good stuff.
That's all fine.
Charge. It's all fine. It's all fine. No problem. Making orc good at shooting, fine. Not an issue.
Always fine.
It's all fine. Always fine. Trucks, fine.
Yeah, like you can tag the truck, but the guys get out. You can tag the guys, but they'll get in the truck. Like you're just like I can't.
That 65 points is worth about 100 right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't stop them doing the stuff. So yeah, we will get into the Orc Menace, and I guess what we saw out there in the game as well. I mean, I think it's worth saying, obviously, yeah, we'll field questions from you guys as you chuck them in, because obviously that's what we're here to do. So if you do have questions, chuck them in. If you were at the event itself, do let us know as well. So I'm just going to shout out people in the chat. Before we do that, please hit the old like and subscribe. Please do leave us a comment. If you want to sign up to support us as a YouTube member, you can do it that way as well. Obviously, Ed and I are coaching the old Warhams as well with 6 these days, and I think hopefully we demonstrated that we are at least aware how to play 40k this weekend with a couple of decent runs. Yeah, exactly. We played some rules. Nice to be up there doing well with armies. Neither of us have actually played much in recent times, so that was quite fun to try something different out in the Eldar and the Admech. So yeah, very, very good fun. So yeah, if you're interested in that, hit us up on Discord. We'll be more than happy to work with you. So what we got in the question, Swissy asked, as 2 counter meta armies, what was your approach to list building with a view to defeating the Green Menace? Ed, did you build anti-Green Menace tech into your list?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on then, Ed.
As much as I possibly could. I was going down the gaslighting route where people think that the Admech get murdered by them, and they do. If they get shot, they die, right? But that's nothing new for us Admech, we're little robot boys. But my tech was, if I go first, you're not moving.
Yeah,
if I go first, you're not moving, and that's it. That's where I'll live in my life. And also, there's incidental damage throughout the Admech that most people just don't care about, but the orcs really do.
Yeah.
So you've got anti-infantry 4-up guns. You've got it's little things like a Dune Rider shooting with twin linked. With AP1, if they don't have coverage,
it's a lot of individual shots, isn't it?
It's volume. Because you go into the assault doctrine most of the time, so you can advance, shoot, and move your Skystalkers. The double doctrine goes on to like a unit of Vanguard with rerolls, and suddenly you just start killing orcs. You're like, oh, this is actually okay. And the sterilizers are obviously great. If they want to sit on primary, they die.
Yeah.
So that's nice. That's nice. We always like that. We always like the rapid ingress flamer unit. It's fantastic. Everyone loves a rapid ingress Overwatch flamer unit. It's fantastic.
Oh, people do adore that. Yeah. They're one combat unit going in, and then it's like, oh no, actually that's dead. So let's turn this around.
Yeah, exactly. And it was. I think between all the tricks of the Admech, you have a game. I'm not saying it's a good game.
No, but I totally get that. Yeah. Yeah, I completely see that. For my part, David, my list was not a counter meta list. My list was I think the meta's effed, so I'm going to take whatever I feel like. I think in Yunari, because orcs are a shooting army, Yunari obviously does play off shooting armies really well because they do have to kill things, you do have to move. But I think if the orc player plays it well, and especially if they go first, it's very, very, very hard. A bit mission dependent as well, but I think Yunari in the main if it goes first, you fly a bunch of warp spiders in, you flambe what's his face with his grots, get rid of him, and make them have to start putting actual things that matter out on the points, because if you can do that, that helps. And then when they're dealing with, they either deal with the warp spiders by getting on the ground and you can hurt them, or they just have to charge in and fight them. It creates a bit of a mess, and then you can capitalize and respond with the next wave of stuff. But if you don't go first, then Zodgrod and his guys are there in the front of you, eating stuff and killing stuff. And then the reverse happens to you. So it is a bit of a tempo game. But as Ed says, you can have tools in the list. It's not the same as being able to be. I don't think Eldar has as much. Eldar is more anti-elite, and Eldar stuff is more, here is my expensive, cool unit. Admech are like, none of this is expensive or cool. I can vibe with all of this. Whatever you hit is relatively expendable.
Yeah.
And I think there's no coincidence that we saw 2 Admech make it to top cut. I think they clearly have some.
They are good.
Clearly have some options there.
Our own Harley, who is obviously an Admech main.
Yeah.
he saw Admech do well, and he was like, first he was like, guys, Eldar's out. I'm gonna be an Eldar main now. It's gonna be great. Sees Admech, he's like, yeah,
back on that.
And I don't blame him. It's exciting, right? Having the Admech.
Oh yeah. I think it's nice for Admech to have a good each other, because they have good game into elves. They have good game. They can at least play and cause problems for orcs. I think they occupy a nice little slot in that sense.
They do.
So let's ask the second question, which is, Ed, is there a correlation between Jaeger bombs consumed and the ability to go 5-0?
Well, normally the correlation of Jaeger bombs consumed compares to the amount of games that you play day one. So if you're 3-0 day one, you can consume half the amount of Jaeger and then get your other 2 wins. If you lose day one, you drink double the amount of Jaeger, and then there you go. So that's the that's
the rationale. Yeah, exactly. More Jaeger gets drunk when the 5-0's off the cards. That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Black Crow Sam is suggesting we nerf orcs. That's a wild. What are you coming at me with, Sam? That's nuts.
That's absolute nonsense.
That's preposterous.
I beat them. It's fine. They're okay.
I think we should let this marinate for 3 months and see.
Fine for 3 months. I think every podium in the world should be orcs for 3 months. That sounds yeah.
It was very funny, and this is, I don't know about you, Ed. The thing I've had with it is, it's been so long since this has happened that I'm sort of like, it's fine. Like, it's fine.
I think we've got a lot of new. I think we've got a relatively good quantity of new people in the hobby in the last year or two. The last year or two, it's been, maybe not even a year. It's been relatively reasonable for a while. I mean, there's been something good, but there's nothing been like.
There's always been something good, but it's not like 1, 2, 3 every event.
Exactly. Right? I think the last one was probably Eldar, right?
Probably exactly. Release Eldar. Yeah, release Eldar.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then you've got a lot of people who joined the hobby and decided to play competitively in that time. So they haven't seen the 4th edition Empress Children Demon Prince or whatever, the Slaanesh Demon Prince. Whatever they haven't seen the I'm going to teleport across the board using terrain and make you only hit on 6s and charge you. They haven't seen any of this stuff yet. So they're new. So they go, this is ridiculously broken. I'm looking at the orcs going, well, it's a game. It's not a good game. It's a game. So yes, they're unbelievably broken, guys. And yes, they need an emergency nerf. But there used to be a time where a codex got released and it would be there for a year or so. So let's appreciate it what it is. Where if it isn't maximum 3 months, it's fine. But also we've got a lot of merit. We've got a lot of things to adapt to them. We've got a lot of time to adapt to it as well. But not sure how much adapting you can do, but it's the problem is it writes off so many armies in matchups. That's the issue.
Completely. That is it.
Having one answer to it, which is on a 50-50 going first, or two or three answers to it, 50-50 going first, isn't good enough to justify it existing at the moment. Because we should also address the fact that we've had really good progress in the fact that we're balancing things out.
Oh, completely.
And that's why we should just keep it up. We should then go, well, if something like this does happen, we should definitely be like, no, we need to sort this out. We need to address it.
Fix it quickly. I think so.
Fix it quickly. So that's where I'm at.
And that's it. Because as I say, the rest of the game, because all the armies in the game have been adjusted, Dakar is obviously the only wildly unadjusted thing. I mean, Custodes will be interesting to keep an eye on as well. The new Custodes detachment. Tower one doesn't appear to be immediately causing mayhem for people, but we'll see. But certainly, this could do with some fixing. Grudgehand Wargaming says, was nice chatting with you during Sunday lunch, Ed, whilst you were busy repairing many little spiky models. Oh,
I think I've aged about 30 years over the last weekend. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like
Ed got home and was like, I do need a little break from Admech.
Like it's basically, I love Admech, right? They're cool. They're very cool. However, they are miserable to play with in my build. They are miserable. They have 100 and something models, like 85 2 models. You've got field pains to roll, all that sort of thing. And you play on the clock every game because you have to. And then even when if the clock goes wrong at some point, you're like, oh no. And the thing is that happens, and that's all good.
Mm.
But it's one of those things where it's an army that's not very fun to use over the course of like 6 rounds. Yeah, sure, you have that one time where 2 units charge 2 infiltrator squads. They both get battle shocked, and 1 infiltrator lives, and you get 15 prime. You're like, yes, I am the best player ever. But it's actually they just failed a Elite 6 battle shock or whatever. But apart from that, it's relatively like cumbersome to use over the course of that amount of time. So
Oh, 100%.
So I think I do need a little break.
I fully get that.
And I was repairing models every round. Every round I was like 6, 7 models, repair.
Because I'm just someone who, my models end up in disrepair over time anyway. I was looking at the Abbott ones, like they wouldn't have a prayer. They'd just be in pieces so aggressively and so quickly. Particularly the flying stuff.
Yeah.
Josh Cowlard asked, if I'm bored of playing more Dakar, what should I play next? It's obviously Sir Speedwire, Josh. Just play the one with the death copters in. Like, be a hero. Black Gray Sam also asked, Tom, how did it feel setting up rakes for everyone instead of stepping on them? That's a reference to Innis absolutely schooling me with Inari on the stream, which is still, I think, a really fun battle to go watch if you want to watch someone just get absolutely twatted by Inari, as I do. Also, does Ivrain have Torrent? Yeah, in the stream game, right. This is really funny. So in the stream game, I played on stream, really fun game, really lovely guy. I was knackered by that point, and like I'd used like my entire lunch break. Like I'd left myself no time to get up to the table. And then they're like, oh, you're on stream. I was like, oh, no, I'm not at all ready for this. And I flew on it. And I played a very shaky game against Alec. Well, I think I was on going second. I played it very passive. And then I got rubbish second. It was like, I think playing passive is actually not going to work because I've not got enough points on my card. And then just about managed to dig it out. But there was a moment in that game where I had a lethal intent opportunity. And my first thought was, I'll just move these warp spiders around and overwatch these JPIs. That'd be quite funny. And then I was like, but I've not really used Ivrain this event. I've used her as a melee thing, but I've not really used her gun. And she's got a really cool flamer that kills infantry. Maybe I'll move her out, and then I can show that off on the stream. And then the streamer will like, it's not a flamer. It's just a normal gun. So I was like, okay, that's not good. Won't do that again. But Warp Spiders did the job instead. Valentin Pukarov asked, are we placing bets on how long it will take for orcs fix? I think they'll be fixed very soon.
Yeah, they've got to be after like 75% win rate or something like that. South Coast.
Yeah, I think it'll need emergency adjustment. Pancakes is in high pancakes. Should event organisers not allow the more Dakar detachment? I don't personally lean that way, because I think whenever you take something off the top, another thing takes its place. This is obviously very egregious though, and we do have the advantage of knowing that the data on everything else was pretty wholesome before this. Yeah. So I could see the case. I mean, Ed, you're obviously more of a routine event organizer. I'll give you 1 second. You tell people what you think whilst I mute myself.
No worries. I think that it's definitely an argument for cancels like banning it. To be honest, like I've considered it myself. I've looked at the potential to do it. I do think it's a good idea, to be honest. If I saw an event organizer, if I was going to an event and an event organizer was doing it, I don't blame them. Ultimately, if I look at the meta and I look at the, if you look at the meta and you look at the way it's broken down, and you look at how other armies are doing and the matchups between those armies while orcs don't exist, this is probably the best the game's ever been.
Yeah.
Like legitimately the best.
And it has been for at least 6 or 7 months, I think.
Yeah, but even then, it's even better now. Like they made the big changes last data slate, right? They were like, right, Marines have all these changes, like because better and all this and this, right? They did it all, and then suddenly they went, okay, now we've done all that, we'll release Dakar and ruin it all. So but there's the thing. So I think I've been asked by a few people to stop Dakar at the War Cup, which is a team event coming up. Now, obviously, it's only like 3 or 4 weeks away. So I can't. If people could probably bought and gone out and bought and painted orc armies, and I don't know if I'm really in a position to be able to do that with that short notice. Do you know what I mean? But I'm probably having a chat with all the team captains. And they'll see how they'll say, because if the general vibe is get rid of Dakar, we don't want it because it's gonna be emergency banned anyway, or we don't want it there because of X, Y, and Z. Then I'll be like, cool, no stress, we won't use it.
It is one of those, isn't it, where it doesn't. I think certainly from inside the teams, it doesn't feel useful to play it because you're like, well, this isn't going to stay as it is. So it's not
exactly.
It's not useful data to be gathering. It's kind of a waste of practice time.
It is, and it also skews all the scores for singles players, right?
It's true.
Player placings, you'll just see like orks, 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 orks. And it's just like great. So, I 100%, I am on board with people stopping Daka Daka just because what happened with Germany when Votan was going to be released with the current points? Was it Germany that banned all?
Yeah, it was Germany that banned it. Yeah,
that's a great call. Like if there's something that's active, especially now that we've seen it in 2 events and we have proof. Now we've got the proof. It's not like we've seen it on release and gone, whoa, ban it. Like
no, exactly.
But we've actually seen it in action now. Like South Coast Super Major is 280 people, was it, Thomas? Something like that?
Yeah, thereabouts.
280 people. The top cut was 3 orks, right?
Yeah.
2 of those, and there was 14 orc players at the event. I think 3 of them were taken out by mirrors.
Yeah.
So that means you're looking at now 6 orc players. And another 2, I think a few were taken out by Garden and like.
There were like 2, like 1 GSC. The guy put the whole GSC army on the line, went first. 1 Vanguard Marines, which on UKTC boards I can see how that could happen.
Yeah, exactly. On UKTC boards, 100%. And also,
but you're talking like 2 or 3 of the sort of more competitive players on it.
And also, the guy that played that game was very, very good. Like this Space Marine. We played him at the team tournament when we took the lads from the England selection process, and he played really, really well. He's on guard. I think, especially with the Vanguard Marines, when you can pick up and come down, take out an orc unit, hide again, blah, 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 all that sort of thing. If you do all these sorts of things, you can just, stop them from doing their thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I basically there's a few armies that you can see it happening with the other player with the orc player making mistakes and allowing ins to the game. But however, those ins have to be quite big. Right, or you have to go first, or you have to go first and have jail, or something like that.
100%.
And that's what you're looking at, really. And that sort of data from a 280 man event is insanity, and especially since it's finished up at like 70% win rate at South Coast. Like South Coast, there's a larger player pool and not as like a killer shark tank, right? So that means you can have lots more players who the orc players can hit, and it's just like, well, I've got a massive advantage and blah blah blah. And you see orc players been playing good players with probably a bit of tech in there, and they just get destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, it's just absolutely destroyed.
The top cut games were just orcs absolutely shellacking most of the other lists that have made it that far.
Right? Yeah, correct. And that's the issue, right? So I think I can see it being banned.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think so. I do want to shout out, we've got lovely Ben Jones in the chat. Hello, Ben. And I think it is worth saying that out of slightly dodgy times can come wonderful things. And obviously, Ben Jones winning South Coast Super Major, that's a lovely thing because Ben is fantastic. Ben's a fantastic man. He's a fantastic player. He is always up at the top of these things. He is always competing and always shining on a bunch of different armies. And very, very happy for you, Ben. Obviously, I got to play Ben in the second to last round, where I was shot to absolute pieces by Ben's army, and it was a very, very good example of how powerful Daka can be when used well. But Ben himself is just a real treat to play. We had a lot of fun with it. It was extremely silly.
Yeah, well, I say, congrats to Ben.
Yeah.
And even Ben was saying the entire time, like, this is dumb. This is dumb.
Yeah, all players had a look in their eyes. It's like, oh, it's not quite right, is it? Sorry, you go. Yeah. We had another question from Sindri who was asking, how did the Lions of the Emperor Custodes do if represented? Now, I didn't see any Lions placing particularly high at South Coast, but I understand a few listed well at Goonhammer. So different terrains, do you think, Ed? That kind of thing?
Yeah, so Custodes on UKTC, I think, are cooked as a general thing. Like, you can't really stage and hide very well in most boards. Like, look at round... So it says to try and win a super major, you've got to at least play round. You've got to play round 7 at some point, right? We can all agree that to win a super major, UKTC, you have to play round 7. Did you see the map they used? No, there's nowhere to stage. You can't hold a primary in the middle without getting shot. Like, I get that you have custom wardens and stuff, and you can rush them and try and like survive for a turn and then go off and charge. Realistically, that's not going to happen, right? Because you can have like move block. You have like a move block turn where they go, right, you can activate your 4 Feel No Pain, but now you're move blocked, and they're going to shoot you next time when you don't have your Feel No Pain, you'll die.
100%.
That's why I wouldn't take the results from UKTC for Custodes too seriously, because
Mhm.
like unless they're leading into because UKDC, as everyone knows, forces you to take some guns, right? Like
Mm.
it just forces you to. But
Yeah.
I just can't. That's why they don't do that great UKDC. Goonhammer though, that's rain. They can hide, and they can
Yes.
stage, and they can push, and
And
all that
then
sort
they're
of
a very different proposition, aren't they?
Yes, then they're a very then you go, now they can actually play the game, and now they can hide and do charges and stuff. Maybe they can do
Yeah.
things, and they can, as
Yeah.
proven. Like who won in the end? I can't remember. It was Space Marines that won. Was it Sam Nash?
Yes, it was Sam Nash on Ultramarines. So a
Yeah, yeah.
classic from the previous meta, right? It's just still going. So that was really cool to see as well. So well done to him. I know Sam Nash has worked incredibly hard the last couple of years, has leveled up massively. So he's really, really good as well. And to beating Nas is never easy. Gas, this is the first time in like 2 years that Nas has been in chats going, God need buffs. It's like all that memes is it's like the first time they've probably actually been balanced like in the last 2 years.
Yeah. First time they've been balanced and shot by desolators.
It was something I did ask. We were chatting. I did ask Dom and Martin, various other people who are running guard at the event. I think the feeling on guard is they've settled down now into quite a nice spot. They are very good. They are balanced. You can do a lot with it, but it's no longer, the bridgehead days are over. So that's all quite positive on that score, I think.
Well, the efficiency of custode on a guardsman was not okay, was it? So we'll go with that.
Yeah. Valentin said a few weeks ago, top players had the same "this is not okay" reaction playing Bridgehead. Is this just normal army cycle? We've injected so many detachments in the last few months. I think there's an extent to which, there will inevitably be one or two things that are a bit overcooked. I think I prefer this cycle we've had where these things are coming from left field and being added in different moments through different, basically handouts and freebies. I much prefer that to the logic of, well, the next book's the one, the next book's the one, the next book's the one, and round it goes, because that's miserable and it creates a real, almost guaranteed kind of army hopping. We really haven't seen much army hopping in terms of jumping on Bridgehead. There wasn't, the players that played Bridgehead primarily had guard already.
It's so expensive, right?
Because it's expensive. The players that were out with orcs at this event, the vast majority of them had orcs already. It was, and I think if they nip this in the bud quick enough, they will continue to set that example of there's no point like hopping on this thing that's going to be really, really, really too good for two, because it just disappears so quickly. Hi, Scrivo in the chat as well. Lovely to have you here. Excellent. I think that's all the immediate questions in the chat. So obviously, guys, do keep them coming in if you have further. But I think things to talk about would be South Coast itself, Ed. As an event, how did you find it?
I think the audio here is gone out of sync. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, are we lagging?
I think I might be. It might be me, but your talking is just out of sync, and I don't know what it is. Whether it's me or whether it's the stream. Anyway, it's fine. So, oh wait, no, it's fixed. It's fixed.
Hey, we're back in.
Okay. There we go. You're talking normal now. Cool.
Perfect.
I think my computer just went like funny for a second. So yeah, South Coast. South Coast anyway. So do you want me to break it down quick round by round? Is that
I think? Well, if we do the ensemble of the event itself in terms of the actual setup, the venue, everything else, and then we'll talk about your overall experience as well, buddy. Yeah.
So the venue was a sports hall as usual. We weren't shocked by that. They wanted, and all that sort of thing. We've had any food trucks. There's a cafe. I think that was more of a miscommunication with Zach from the venue. So I don't really think too much with that. But to be fair, there was the town nearby, so we weren't really.
Yeah, and the actual numbers, the numbers and space were pretty workable, right? It wasn't so big that it was complete chaos. It was easy enough.
Exactly, it was fine. And there was, there was I don't know about you. There was more space than usual at this one.
I would agree.
There's actually enough like space down the side of a table to actually put your army, which is nice. Back in the days where the mats were literally touching, and you'd be like, "Is that my table or yours? Let's look at the scene." That sort of thing. I don't want that. But the event overall was really good. I enjoyed it. I had 6 really good opponents. The only thing was, the only thing that was a bit disappointing was at the end. So the last round 6, there's a little bit of a mistake. I don't say mistake. A little bit of a mistake on the clock was on me for a bit too long, and it was like back and forth. And it was fine because we weren't clocking each other. We wanted to get an actual conclusion.
Yeah, I had the same where I couldn't be doing with the clock on the game.
But the thing is, I didn't mind the clock. It was fine. But the guy that I was playing was really nice, and we were playing Havoc there. And I was like, "We've gone second. I can't move blocky the entire game and hold primary, so I could hold primary once." but it takes like 25% of my army to do that.
Yeah.
I can't do it again because you're charging and you're out of your deployment zone now. You can Overwatch and it's hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't really kill breaches extraordinarily well.
No.
So so we knew how the game was going to go, but then it came over and started rushing us, and I was like, I'm not really sure how I feel about this because it got muted on the stream for a while. But apart from that, it was a really good event. It's just
Yeah.
I just don't like the stream there. Not the guys, I just don't like playing on stream at UKTC because I feel like there's a lot of pressure.
I understand that.
There's a lot of pressure from people above to because basically there's a lot of people there's a lot of pressure from people above to be like they see 2 minutes on the clock and like finish the game, finish the game, finish the game, finish the game, finish the game. Not like that aggressively, you know what I mean, like that. And I'm just like,
I totally agree.
Guys, I'm trying to play a game for you, and then you make mistakes,
Yeah.
and then because the time was realistically a little bit more balanced than it actually was because there was a mistake with leaving the time on me for a bit too long than him, so that meant that was moaning at me more, and I was like, guys, like, I'm trying my best here. So
I think. I mean, we learnt this doing our event the other day. I think you need to start a stream earlier, right? You need to get it up and running and get it going, and leave a lot of time because streams do take longer. They eat up more time, and when you've got that really high time pressure of turnaround, it's not pleasant, and it makes people play worse. The combination of stream and time pressure is not good.
Yeah.
So I totally feel for that. I had that a bit round 5, right? And I was obviously lucky enough I could snatch the draw and it didn't stop the run there. But I definitely would say the stream itself and the sort of the stresses of that definitely did knock me off my game a little bit for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if realistically going first on burn against the Outback Mirror, you should probably lose, right? You should probably lose.
Oh yeah, of course.
Especially I get trash and he doesn't.
You want second turn there, yeah.
You want second turn, hide, move block for 1 turn, then throw out trash. They just throw out trash, you just deny their primary with trash each turn, and then you get your trash at the end. You score more, fine. But that did not happen, as we are all painfully aware. But the stream at the end was just a little bit too much pressure for no reason. Like there didn't need to be. It was like, can you start like it's just one of those things where I was like, I don't want to be awkward with it, but I'm also just not going to enjoy my game if we're going to play this way. So I'm happy to just call it and just do whatever. It's fine.
I fully understand that, and I think that's something where the stream needs a little bit of allowance and a little bit of space to actually make it work for people. So I think that's something for them to definitely look at.
I would agree.
Yeah, 100%. A couple more questions, then we'll talk about your games, Ed. So John Black says, "Hey guys, pleasure to meet you both, and thanks for a great game, Ed." So I assume John Black, who's one of our mentees on the Tyranids, will be one of the rounds that Ed played, which is awesome. And then Valentin. Don't worry about spamming questions, Valentin. We love questions. That's what this whole show is for. Armies with lots of stuff seem to be rising to the top with the game being this lethal. Trading punishes big 400-point bricks. Is this because of the mission pack or the meta? Ed, why do you think stuff is rising to the top?
I have no idea. I don't use an armies with loads of stuff. Who would use that? Nah, so basically, the reason why you see there's a lot of stuff in the meta right now is because there's lots of armies with jails or a lot with a jail sort of aspect to them, or armies that don't want to be jailed.
Yeah.
Now, the beautiful thing about a lot of stuff with the units that can get across the board to stop people from moving turn 1 and all that sort of thing. Like the first, probably one of the first things I saw a bit, like really violently, was probably Wolf Jail. That was it's pretty famously horrible if you go in second against it. Because you just like, here's 18 Thunderwolves, man. They're all in your face, and they're only 180 points per unit. You're like, oh, okay. But yeah, that's the sort of but now it's evolved into, well, now if I just use cheaper units to do that, and they die, it's all fine. I can just do it again. I can do it like for 2 or 3 more turns. And that's probably the reason why you see a lot of stuff. And also mission play, right? Like, especially because the meta's become a lot more close. And and there's like tiny little win differentials either way. Like a few more scoring pieces if you're playing the game where, because I don't think, intent isn't a game where you're going out and trying to kill your opponent. Let's play Dak. But you're trying to play a game where you exist to the end of the game and have enough stuff to stop either their scoring or you're going to score.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if that's the case, you need more MSU, you need more like stuff, and all that sort of thing. And that's why you find the more stuff meta. So that's why you have even with orcs, like you've got a boatload of things. Like, even when it was tactical, it was just a load of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like it was that's how armies are sort of evolving, and I think that's not a bad thing for the meta because it shows that things are relatively balanced. So that means if you're going to win because you have like 2 or 3 more scoring pieces rather than 1 more damage piece because that one get moved blocked by your one little piece over here. Yeah. It makes sense, right? It's okay.
Yeah, it's a space control thing, isn't it? It's about so much of the scoring now is mid board, and if you can have a disproportionate amount of control of the midboard and keep them hemmed in, and lots of stuff helps with that, then that's a very good position to be in. It does reflect, some of the most lethal armies in the game have gradually been toned down and nerfed out.
Yeah.
I think it does also, it reflects a meta in which, there's a couple of armies that are really good into elite armies. And have good ways of dealing damage. Say something like Daka, or to be honest, Eldar as well. They both render certain kinds of vehicles kind of redundant at the top of the game, because it's like, there's no point in having that, because fire dragons will happen to it, or tank busters will happen to it. At which point, the obvious step away from that is to go, well, if you have brilliant anti-tank, I won't take tanks, and I'll play a different way. So it makes complete sense.
It's like you're gonna fire 6 tank busters into 10 ranges. That's fine. I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. And then people try and take for hordes, and then it cycles around eventually. But the game's so wide, there's all sorts of stuff going on with that. So.
But the answer is always horde, guys. That's
shockingly, yeah. So Ed, talk us about your latest horde adventure. Obviously, you have finished 6th place at South Coast with the AdMech. Okay, it's not an army you played for very long. But take us through your run and your experience. And you were playing the hunter cohort, weren't you?
I was, yes. The hunter cohorts, by the way, I want to make this very clear. It's not fun to play. As I said earlier, this is a very much so a teams list that you're looking at in WC standings that you can basically use to try and, like, any army that doesn't have a lot of fly, you can sort of give them a very miserable game.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing that you're trying to be looking to do. So we'll go into the rounds then. So first game was an AdMech mirror. I hate AdMech mirrors.
And I cannot believe that you played 2 in one weekend. That's nuts.
I've played 3 in 2 weekends. That's the worst. It's like I played Haidar at Manchester.
Unreal.
I was like, Lord. But yeah, so we have the AdMech mirror. This was also Halo's Creed. So he had Halo's Creed. It was a very similar list to the other guy was using on stream, right? But this time, on the first mission, which was Terraform, I went first, which is the thing I want to
want to this time.
Yeah, I want to go first. So basically, AdMech mirrors feel like, no matter what really stuff you have, you kind of want to go first either way. So I went first, moved block to section of the board, tried to terraform 3 objectives, successfully terraformed 2. It's like you can stop 1, right? You can't stop all of them. So that happened there. I terraformed the 2 objectives, and then at that point I just started to pick up small sections of his army bit at a time, and try to tag stuff and that sort of thing. He had the fallback and shoot strat, fallback shoot and charge strat, which is fine because you can't do it to all of it. And I do have 40 bats, so the 40 bats went no, and just freaking ran at him and just tagged everything and just tried to survive, and they did. They survived for like probably a bit longer than they should have, to be honest. And then I got a good set of cards at the end for the win. So that ended up with 78, 79, 79, something like that. So even then it was close. But even then it was close. 93, 70. So that was the final score in the end. That was a good first round. So Tom, how was your first round?
My first round, obviously this is on the Ynnari, and I've got basically a lot of the Ynnari stuff we've seen in WTC lists and early testing for it. So you've got the Incubi brick with the Rain, which is a super fun, deadly fights first unit. Banshees, lots of Warp Spiders because they're just so good. Archon with an enhancement with some Cabalites pissing about in a Venom, and obviously 6 Shining Spears because you have to have 6 Shining Spears. That's my must-have Ynnari tech for you all. Definitely not just running some cool new models. But I played against Space Marines, a lovely chap called Sam, and I mean he had it was an Ultramarines list that didn't have any of like the melee counter push pieces. Like he's got JPIs, but he doesn't have Calgar, he doesn't have Gilliman. And I'm kind of looking at that going, well, I don't really know. I don't really know if he can deal with this, just because he wants to shoot me to hurt me. He's got his tanks. He's going to shoot me to hurt me. And then with Ynnari, if you're shooting things, you're triggering lethal intent. They're moving. They're then hitting you somewhere else. That gave me a lot of play. So I did the same thing as you. I had Terraform. I think I had first turn. Put lots of pressure on. Got 2 successful Terraforms off. And then you're like, we're in a strong position here. Venom Archon did all sorts of mayhem down Sam's flank and took his back objective and caused all sorts of problems down that side. So that was really fun. And Sam was really lovely. I think this was just a bit of a mismatch in terms of what 2 armies did and how they interacted, which is why, we'll talk about it on Tuesday show. This is one of the reasons I'm sure Ynnari will see changes, is that for certain kinds of armies, it's just very unpleasant to manage. So fairly straightforward, and Sam was just a real sweetheart. We had a really fun game.
That's nice, man. That's nice. That's fair. I'll go on to round 2 then.
Let's keep it rolling.
Yes, keep it rolling. All right, I'm waiting for it to load up because I can't remember. I know all my games. I can't remember what order they are because that's what my brain does. The Orcs. This was my Daka game. How can I forget?
Yes, nice.
So this is my Daka game, and so it was really, really good. But Jack, by the way, is a lovely guy. I've seen him around quite a lot. He's at a lot of the UKTC events. He's fantastic. So he had the Daka Daka. He had the usual build. He had like 3 Sags, Zogrod. He had 5 trucks, 2 Flash Gits, 20 Gretchen, 10 Gretchen, 10 Gretchen, Commandos. He had the Commandos. This is the scary bit, guys. He actually had Infiltrate. I was like, no, no, the plan is falling apart. I didn't expect anyone to take them. So if he gets first drop, it was really scary. He has the 3 looters, Storm Boys, and the Tank Busters, and that's kind of where that goes. So the game basically was I went second, and I was like, no. So he won first drop, and I went second. And I was like, well, I'm cooked. This is bad. This is not good. This is not good, right? But he positioned his command. He put his commandos down, but he mispositioned them. So basically, he wanted to hide from my shooting. So he valued that over blocking off the board. I was like, okay, cool. So he put it down. I was like, cool. I'll put 5 infiltrators in the middle. Then I'll put 5 infiltrators next to those 5 infiltrators. I'll put 5 infiltrators next to the other 5 infiltrators. And now I'm going to jail you if I go first.
Yeah.
If I don't go first, then Zogrod's not going to jail me. Because also, Admech can get jailed. Like, you can just...
Yeah,
like,
they can.
Yeah, like the Patraxi are... They fly, but you don't want to give up Patraxi. Like, not when they're not going to move block anyway. So he went first. He staged all of his trucks. Zogrod went into some infiltrators, battle shocked himself, didn't kill the infiltrators. So I was like, cool, that's fun. And then a unit of Storm Boys charged to another unit of infiltrators. So they shot him a little bit with some firing deck because he didn't want to get his dudes out yet. And I was like, okay, fine.
Yep.
And then he shot them a bit, killed them 2. Storm Boys go in, battle shocked themselves, and and failed to kill it. He had secure an area, so he had secure an area, so that failed area and stuff. I was like, okay, that's already a swing in the secondary point, so we're okay. And then after that, I was like, okay, well, you've pushed up, you've staged a bit, that's okay, but now I can start to jail you and make things happen. So then I started to throw a few. I threw out the bait. You know, what I mean, everyone has some bait units. So I threw out some bait. He took the bait, came out, shot a load of stuff, killed like. It looked like about 800 points, but it was actually about 400 points because Admech. And then I came out and shot with the same amount, basically because my trades are quite efficient into orcs. So then I was like, okay, well I'm gonna I've rolled 6 on the sterilized unit, so I can multi-shoot it. So I put 5 flames somewhere, 5 flames somewhere else, and killed them both down to a decent amount. The rest orcs multi-charge and killed them both. I was like, yay, so that's fine. And then, but also because I'm multi-shot. And because he could shoot me back, right? So because I'm multi-shot, he said, I'm going to shoot you back with some tank busters. I was like, okay, cool, no worries. So he said like 2 tank busters. I was like, well, stealth. And then suddenly like, oh, this is fine. Like, it
and no sustain, right? Because it's not it's not their turn, so they're just useless actually. Yeah. That shoot back strat is a bit of a gaslighting exercise, isn't it? Really, it's definitely not as dangerous as you think it is.
Yeah, it's just them going. Yeah, can shoot you back. You sure you want to shoot them?
Yeah, maybe you should just let me continue to flatten you.
Yeah, maybe you should just let me continue to shoot you, man. Like, you have like 1 CP and you want a heroic. Nah, why would I want a heroic when I can shoot you back hitting on 6? Don't shoot my unit. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a little I can do this, and if good players go, yeah, whatever. I don't know about but people who don't understand like the actual impact of it go, nah, I'm not going to shoot you then. I'm like, sad. Or they try and set yourself up angles so they don't get shot by many back, and then you're just putting yourself into a worse position when you can just go where you want to. You know what I mean? It's just stuff like that.
100%. Yeah.
The end result there was 169 because it ended with me. All of his stuff was out of trucks when he came out and killed the last wave, and then all the bats went in. So,
and that's the crucial thing, isn't it? So if you can have a good connect turn once they are on the ground and their defenses are not there, that's when you can get them.
The thing is, I didn't kill anything on the bat turn, right? I killed maybe 1, 2 units. But what happened was I was like, right, I'm going to charge. I'm going to move forward, shoot a bit. I'm going to charge all your orcs. I mean, the conquer imperative, and I've advanced up ranges behind. And they go, okay, so you minus 1 to hit. You've already used UR. So you minus 1 to hit. I'll do a little bit of damage here and there, whatever, not much. And he goes, okay, I'll fall back into the trucks. I'm like, that's fine, no worries. And then they go, cool, I'm going to shoot you. Cool, yeah, you hit on 6s. And then node sustained. And that did nothing. I killed like 1 or 2 dudes. I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to wrap the trucks.
Yeah.
I was like, And that's the thing. Like you basically position, you give yourself a turn where you can just like tag a load of stuff, and then you just wrap all the trucks. And you're like, yeah, and it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
telling Josh exactly how to beat me in this scrim, but we'll be fine. Josh I'm sure he knows the plan anyways.
It's tough. It's tough to live the content life and the script life at the same time. And,
yeah. I saw Josh's name pop up.
Like,
Like,
yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, so that was my
man.
second round, Tom. What was yours?
My second round, I played against lovely Josh Trurin,
Stunning.
who was on Necrons, and he had Star Shatter, there's a couple of DDAs, Silent King, Big Lichguard Brick, he had the Triarch Stalker, he had a couple of different scout things that made my life a bit difficult. He had some flayed ones, lots of individual destroyers bopping about. So you don't get tons in a Necron list when you build it that way. You're quite asset light. And we were playing on Purge, which obviously is a bit stressful. So he got the first drop, so he put flayed ones on my sort of safe side, so he could scout up Triarch Stalker and other nonsense up on that side. So I had to deploy quite cautiously. The Crucible map, which was this one and my round 5, those are the two I think my list was worst on. I need to think about how I adjust it for the Crucible map. I played it played like a dream on the other ones, but it didn't like that one. And Josh gets second turn in the end, which means I've got a bit of an issue because going first against Necrons, Purge, they're durable. I've got loads of little guys. Letting them die is kind of part of my plan. So I was like, well, I'm basically going to have to table this and take all the objectives off it by the end of the game. And it's incredibly peaky because Josh plays very aggressively. He comes to get my expansion. He pushes it in the middle. He gets Lichguard on the side. I can't deal with all those different things. So I have to sort of focus down bits at a time. And eventually we get the Silent King down to like 5 or 6 wounds at the first try. The Shining Spears go in, kill both his Minears and do a load of damage to him, and that helps. Then they all get killed. But I think then we've got the situation where in the next turn he hits me back very hard, and I've got like my last beans, and I'm like, can I kill him and win this game with my last remaining beans, which is like a free grenade, a fusion gum, strength 8 glaive, just trying to scrap these last couple of wounds off him. We just about manage it, which at that point means that Josh just gives up the kill more, hold more, can't control the rest of the game. And I pick off his back objective with some warp spiders, which is always really fun to do because they're very, very good at that. So he was like up on primary for the first 3 rounds, and then I swing it back and take it at the end. So it's a very narrow win. It's like 10 points in it, I think. Josh played it very well, and there's definitely a world where I bounce off Silent King and then it's over. So it was definitely a tough one, tough game. And I think Josh made it difficult because he knew, I think, that Eldar really don't like having to commit all their stuff onto those 4-up invulns. If you shove out DDAs, Silent King, Triarch Stalker all at once, you're like, I only have so many units that actually really want to hurt that. And that made it for a very violent game. So, yeah, very interesting. Before we go to round 3, just going to field a question from Sam. Are Dark Angels being slept on, or is Toby just an outlier since the Marine changes? Most have abandoned DA, but Toby's been 5-0 at 2 UKTC Super Majors. What do you think? Dark Angels got some sauce?
No. No.
Okay.
No. There are 4-up invuln stat check guys with -1 damage. Some people just don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's anything.
It's just Deathwing Knights, right? Yeah, Deathwing Knights just have that in them.
Yeah, the Deathwing Knights and the Inner Circle Companions, right? They're between the two, and especially with Blade Guard now as well, you can definitely run a lot of little combat units. Okay, are they good? They're Marines, right? They're always going to be an element of okay, right? They're always going to be an element of okay.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, if you wanted to say, is it secret source? No, it's just the source they've always had. It's just definitely and some combat pieces and some guns. It's just a typical Marine army, right? But you've also got to remember, like, Deathwing Knights at the moment are probably in a bit of a better position than they used to be. But again, it's just if you shove Deathwing Knights at people and they can't kill them, you're going to beat them. It's the nature of Deathwing Knights, unfortunately.
Deathwing Knights in a reactive move gets you a long way, I think. Yes, and they do like UKTC, and they're durable enough and shooty enough to take advantage of that. So yeah, I mean, Toby's obviously played that list very well and had some good results. But I think the meta, if we ignore the very top right now, the meta for the last however long is that a good player can go and do all sorts of things with something that they want to play. And I'm always surprised there's not more people out there experimenting with different things, because you can definitely make all sorts of things work. So. But yeah, it's not new. We might see a pivot by Marines players back to Dark Angels at some point. I kind of feel like right at this second, this might be an unfair impression, but I feel like a lot of the very best players in the world have lost a bit of interest in Marines just post the last set of changes and aren't doing as much with it. I've not seen as many people out there running Marines.
Boring.
In
like
those moments, the Marine players don't know where they're going next, so they wait.
Yeah.
They wait to be told.
I think Blood Angels, man.
I like Blood Angels. I think Blood Angels are really fun. So that takes us through to round 3. What did you get in round 3, Ed?
I played against the lovely John Black with his Nids.
Also, this was when you played my mentee. Oh, well done,
Yes.
John, getting up to the 2-0 presumably on the first day against Ed. Well done.
He played this annoyingly well. I was like, okay, because I, bear in mind, have not really looked at the simulation swarm too much, right?
Neither do I. Don't know anything about it really.
Yeah, I completely disrespected it. Absolutely disrespected it. I was like, it's Nids, I'll move, block, fine, blah, blah, blah. And I killed like one entire unit of Tyrant Guard, like with all the shit, because obviously it takes all the shit stuff to kill one unit of Tyrant Guard. And I dropped another unit down to like 2. And I was like, sweet, this is fine. This is pretty much game now. It's fine. I can hide out. I can tag stuff and chill because they can't fall back and shoot and charge either. Fine. Then by my next turn, there's like 3 more Tyrant Guard back in the squad, and I was like, "Whoa, no, 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 no! That wasn't part of the plan. That wasn't part of the plan." And they just existed and annoyed me. And I was like, "Game respects game, I suppose. I'm also existing and annoying you." So
yeah, it's a very you thing to have done, right?
Yeah, I was actually very proud. And then we play, and then basically the end result, we started to get a little bit tight on time at the end because it's like regrows, feel the pains, and it goes back and forth. And we had a great giggle. And then yeah, and basically the game was I moved, blocked him for a few turns. He came out, and then he could catch up with the primary. Basically, that was the game. He chatted to me about it afterwards and said, "Is there a way that I could have won the game if I went second?" And I was like, "I think you were cooked when you went second. I think if he goes first and shoves all those Tyrant Guard out, I'm like, oh, I'm sad because I can't really kill them very efficiently.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got like 2 units of anti-infantry guns. That's it. Like, that's all I got.
And they're quite durable. Yeah.
The plasmas have a go. You know what I mean? The plasmas aren't bad. And the arc rifles, if they wound, will do damage because they don't have an invuln, right? So you're just sort of like, okay. But if I'm in the Conqueror, get an extra AP and ignore cover on the Vanguard, I can do some stuff. So the move unit was doing work, but the problem was nothing else was, if that makes sense. So I had to kill all the stuff around them and then try and limit his scoring that way.
Completely.
So yeah, it was fun. It was a good game. I really enjoyed it, and it was a pleasure to meet John. And yeah, and if you were here early, John, if you're still here, you played that very well.
He is. Yeah, he says 100%. If I went first, you were seeing 1,800 points. That's what he said.
Yeah, he knew.
It's coming straight at you. Very, very good. That's funny. Fate 13 asks, was there enough DACA at South Coast, or would you say you need some more DACA? I think South Coast had adequate levels of DACA.
I think it was too many.
Although again, I think we've been trained out of the meta chasing habit so effectively because I think there were like 17 orcs there or something in like a 300-person event.
There was 14.
Yeah, low numbers.
Yeah, low numbers.
So if you compare that, like again, through a lot of ninth, new book would be like what 30, 40, 50 people would be getting stuck into that and taking advantage of the strength imbalance. And like, so I do. There's still hope with this that we can nip this in the bud and get back to things pretty quickly. Yeah. So for my 3, I played against Ross James. This was my first run at more DACA of the weekend. And Ross is a long time orc player. He had a beautifully painted orc army that clearly had been around forever. And it was dangerous, but it was not optimized to the full extent. So he did have the triple shock attacks. He did have some looters, but I think only about 15. He did have 10 flash skips, and he did have 2 squads of tank busters. That's already a lot more manageable than the full of all of that, right? Because those things shoot hard, but there's not so much shooting that you just will die if you exist. He had a Death Dread, which was really fun, and actually, isn't terrible in the detachment, but again, a little bit more of a fun pick. He did have Zolgrod's unit, and he had Gazgul with 5 Mega Knobs. So this is much more mixed arms, much more like Orc player takes cool new detachment to event, rather than Orc player skews Mordaka right into the extremes. It's a lot more fun to play against, and we did have a really fun game. I think Ross probably respected Ynnari too much. People do this. Ross was like, I'm a bit afraid of it. It does tricks, so I'm not going to get too close to it. I don't want to see what it does. And it's like, that's exactly the opposite of what you need to do, because if you give it space, it will do its tricks more, and it will get worse. And I was able. He was very, very spooked by wolf spiders. And to be fair, that's not without reason because I was using them to just pick off different units and pick off his scoring. This is something Eldar players need to do. You kill their secondary scoring units because usually that's where you can get a bit of an edge. And killed off Zogrod. He kept Zogrod a long way back. I was like, oh, thank goodness. Because people would normally jam and jail with Zogrod. That ultimately is the crucial thing here. It's like if you just jam Zogrod at me, then retaliate whilst I'm dealing with him. That's how you win the game. And that just gave me way too much space. And once I built up a head of steam in this game, Ross was in a lot of trouble. Where he realised, as players often do, players against Ynnari, like in turn 2 or 3, you're like, oh, I see what I have to do now. And you're like, yeah, if you've been doing that from the start, you'd be fine. But you haven't. So now it's too late. And he jammed Gazgul and 5 Meganobs into Ivrain's Incubi Brick, and Ivrain's Incubi Brick killed everyone except Gazgul, with some cheeky dev wounds to kill Makari, which was obviously sad for Makari, which then meant Gazgul killed about half the Incubi unit, which then grew back in my turn and killed him with fights first. Okay, well, now it's game. It's
Yeah.
Poor old Gaz ended up the wrong end of the fights first unit there.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, exactly. It does. It's just a common feature of current 10th edition, and you want your fights first murder unit somewhere if you're one of those armies. But Ross was lovely, and I think it demonstrated the application of tools with Dakar is very important. It's not so you can't just turn up with it and it will instantly win games. But you have to play it like an orc. You've got to be very bold and confident and aggressive and get stuck in and make lots of trouble. That's the key thing. Paint 13 says even Harley hasn't bought 30 looters. Yeah, he's not getting on that train. I don't think he's not doing Dakar.
I'd disown him. Same.
Yeah, I think as Paint 13 alludes to, it's like anyone who already had access to 30 looters. I think that makes sense. I suspect they're just clearing looters out there off their shelves. Just get rid of those really old models now.
Or they just didn't know what it would do. I could see.
Yeah, there is that as well. Yeah, so never.
Know.
It could just be foolishness, right? Rather than cynicism. That's a totally fair explanation.
Yeah, I just think it is complete foolishness because you ask playtesters and they're all like, we didn't see it, we didn't playtest it, it just appeared. That sounds like an awful idea. Placing a game with prizes.
Definitely an experiment for sure. Yeah. Okay. And so we had a little sleep, a little rest. What happened to you on round 4, Ed?
Yeah, so I had my little nap of
what beautiful demonstration. Ed got home very late last night. He's a very sleepy boy.
Yeah, I talked about sleep and now tears coming to my eye from a yawn. That's why. So anyway, I was playing Joshua James's Chaos Space Marines.
Nice.
Josh has basically popped up in last year, I think. He's been doing pretty well. He's been doing pretty good bits with his demons / Chaos Space Marines / whatever he wants to use at the time. And he basically is using Chaos Cult. So he has the 3 AC/DC bricks, a load of just chaff, and then 3 Predators, 3 Predator Destructors, and a Vindicator. That's it. And I was like, okay, this feels pretty good for me actually. And Josh, bless him, he's full of confidence. He comes, I see him in the bar in the frame room that we were at the night before, and I go, he says, "Oh, Josh, you've got you on?" He was like, "Yeah. I think it's a good match for me, to be fair." And I was like, "Okay, wanna explain the theory there, little buddy?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Do you want to explain why you think that's a good game? Just so we're both on the same page." And he was like, "Oh, well, the AC/DC bricks go in, they kill loads of stuff, I tag everything, blah, blah, blah." I was like, that can happen. What actually happens is you have to sit AC/DC bricks on circles, and I have sterilizers. That's not good for you, man. I think an AC/DC got shot by sterilizers turn 1, because he sent one in to try and kill some stuff and tag, blah, blah. And the sterilizer unit killed, what was it? I think it did 30 something wounds, with 4 rolling. And I'd rolled relatively hot on the mad dice. I won't lie, I did. But it's I think it's 31 wounds or something like that. And then he was just like, "Oh well, 5 ups followed by 6 ups." He was like, "Oh, that's pretty much all of them dead by 3 or 4 torments." I'm like, "Well, yeah, now I can kill the torments with and each other." And basically, it just meant each time he sent out a unit, whether I spiked or didn't, like I didn't. I spiked on the first turn. Second turn it was about average, but like
Yeah.
I was going right. Here's like an average of what 2d, like it's 9d6, right? So that's 20. Actually, no, to be fair, it's about 34 hits, fours re-rolling. Probably looking at about what, like I don't know, 28, 26, 27 wounds, something like that. So basically, you do that mad damage to the flamers, they'll kill like half of them, maybe probably actually more than half of them really. And then you charge in you usually charge in a unit of rust stalkers and move block with them at the same time because there's 10 models. And then you do a 50 attacks with devs and precision. Like that's a dead unit. And I was like, every time I did that twice, and he was like, "You've moved blocked me, so I can't get to the sterilizers, or this guy, or the rush stalkers. So you're gonna keep doing that." And I was like, "Yes." And he went, "Oh," and he was like, "Okay, this isn't a good matchup for me." Then I was like, "No, no, no." So then he tried. Then he started move blocking me, which I respected the game. You know, fair enough. So he started move blocking me with cultists and just kept me away. Scored. Got. I forgot Cipher existed for a turn, so we got some pride.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. Yeah.
Fine. I forgot Cipher was there. I was like, oh, I killed the cultist. Fine. And he's like, oh, my turn. Cypher's there. And I was like, okay. He's like, do you want to do something about it? If I forgot to tell you, I was like, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. So so basically, the points were quite high, and it was all good because he also hit perfect secondaries pretty much. Like I think the first turn it was like extend secure, like 10 points. Second turn was storm and containment for 10. Do you know what I mean? Like he had like 30 secondary points by turn 3. I was like,
Yeah.
fair enough, no worries. But yeah, it was a good game. It was a good laugh, good giggle. And then yeah, so that was my round 4, Tom. How was yours?
I had Dennis from Fire and Dice, who I have to say was lovely, like very solid player, very competitive guy as well. I could feel he was very, very in there grinding for his result, but also very nice with it as well. So we had a great time. And we were playing on the linchpin. I'm very glad Burden has moved on, although we did get to re-engage with Burden, didn't we? A bit later on, but we'll come to that. It's not completely gone. It's just been moved upstairs, as it were.
Yeah.
And so on this one, obviously going second is nice because it's linchpin. There's generous scoring. We're playing on sort of, I think it's search and destroy, so it's very easy to kind of get at each other and deny primary as well. And I think Dennis basically gets slightly caught in two minds as to whether he's going or whether he's not. And he sort of puts some wraiths out in the middle, but not lots of them. Like it's 2 wraiths. He sends some stuff down one side with some Tomb Blaze and does a bit of harassing, but then the rest of his castle of DDAs and Silent King, it's very similar Star Shatter list to what I played in the previous round, but a bit more killy and a bit less missiony. And he doesn't shove that out. And it's sort of like, well, if you're going to push, you got to go. You got to go with all the rest of it. And as it was, I was like, well, I'll take a turn because I'm chill. I'll put some trash out, so I'll get a lethal intent move. I will deny your primary on the middle because you haven't put enough wraiths out, so I can just give you rangers. I'm happy with that. I'll wait a turn, see what happens. Don't want to go out with the Incubi Brick. And then the Venom with the Archon. And the Venom with the Archon is really fun for this. I'm going to do a video on it specifically, but like Star Engines on a Venom, D6+1 move on a 14-inch thing that can fly up. Guys can get out, can do mischief, can get back in. So in this case, he's got his flayed ones on this safe ruin. Venom flies up to it. Archon pops out on the other side of the wall. Free grenade, shoot the guys, get rid of his chaff on that side, hop back in the Venom. And then the Venom's just a massive pain there because it's a unit that you can't really deal with properly without triggering lethal intent, or certainly in his case. It's like you're going to want to shoot the Venom first so you can shoot the guys inside, which means I'm getting a kill, which means I'm getting lethal intent moves. And this one just basically then descends into a real Barney in the middle. He then realizes he's going to go, so he pushes, the wraiths go out. I think the error he makes in this game is he charges the Ivrain Brick with the wraiths, which means that I get 2 turns of whacking it before he reanimates. Whereas I think if you just shove it in the middle, I don't like Ivrain's unit bounces off it pretty hard. Like I kill some wraiths, but not loads. So it's like if you just park that with all its OC in the middle and say deal with it at the same time that the Silent King's coming out, DDAs are coming out, I think that gets quite rough for me actually. But as it was, he charged them, got intervened into by a range unit. He was trying to charge some warp spiders. Obviously, a range unit intervenes, kills 2 of them, then gets to kill another 2 in my turn, and then it gets down to non-functional at that stage. And I kill 1 DDA with shooting. I'm very unlucky not to kill 2. I absolutely light those DDAs up with all my bits and pieces. Then a lot of my shooting obviously dies. My far flank eventually collapsed, but then by this point, warp spiders have done nonsense things. have jumped around, causing mayhem, and eventually Silent King is trying to catch Vrainsvik for like 2 turns to fight them, and they keep running away with lethal intent. Then eventually they get behind him and take the Necron back objective instead. It's very funny. So this ends up, just Eldar stuff and lethal intent doing all sorts of nonsense. As I say, I think then so people were talking about why do people have loads of stuff. It's like elves are very common at the moment. They're probably one of the most common armies taken in the game, and they like space. They are really good when they have space. If they have space to play in, they can probably use it better than most armies, right? They just bop around. So that's why armies are filling up the board. It's like that gives them nothing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess that was my 4. So that takes us to the final round of the main event itself, Ed, which is round 5. What did you have?
Oh, round 5. What did I have?
I remember what army you had, but I don't know what the player was.
I can't remember what it was. Man, that's really bad, isn't it? Let's try look.
I mean, you're very tired. It was Leagues of Votan, Ed.
This is like, don't forget this. This is like my favorite. This is like one of my favorite events, one of my favorite games of the weekend. This was like, so tight. This was. So I didn't go. So basically, this one was really bad because I basically lost the deployment roll off. So he had his egress in the middle. The
Jaegers.
The Jaegers. Mm-hmm. So he forward deployed those. And then he went first. I was like, oh no, this is where it all goes wrong. This is going to be awful. And he does exactly what I do not want him to do. He shoves. And I'm like, well, I might be cooked here, boys. And he shoves it, and he just goes out. He shoots a bunch of stuff. We'll try to shoot because obviously I
remember we talked outside before you went in, and that was exactly what we were like.
Yeah,
don't want that.
Yeah, don't want that. And I was like, hopefully he doesn't understand that he needs to shove into me to win if he goes first, and he plays a passive game. I can just get my burn at the end and win. But no, he was like, I've got to make this happen. I was like, you do. I can't try and convince you otherwise because you are in fact correct, sir. So he absolutely sends it and he shoots a bunch of stuff and basically what it came down to was on turn 4. My turn 4. No, my turn. My turn 4. I killed. So there were 6 spikes, right? This is all. There's obviously other little rolls and bits in between, right? But like this is the big thing that came down to 10 dudes. So with a marshal killed 5 bikes.
How?
They are 6s to wound those bikes.
They are. I know they are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and some stubbers from transport. So
of course.
So the stubbers shot, activated real wounds. That killed 1. Shouldn't.
No.
Did. And then the dude shot and killed 4.5. Plasma, that's 2 hits, 2 wounds, 1 dead. Arc rifle, 2 hits, 2 wounds, 2 dead. Well, 2.5 dead because he put the second damage 3 on the 4 wound guy or whatever. And then like a load of like anti-infantry shots just went and just killed like the last one, bar 1. And at that point he had 2 bikes running around, and that was his only damage left. And bear in mind, I didn't have much more damage to go over there. I had like a few.
No, you didn't.
Like if that didn't happen, and I just whiff, which I'm so used to doing. I thought at that point I was cooked because I was like, well, I'm not going to kill this. They're going to kill. They're going to collapse that flank, and I'm not going to hold 10 primer for the game, and he will. Because at that point he collapsed both flanks. Everything was tagged over by the other flank, so it's not like he's out OCing me, but he's not doing damage. Do you know what I mean? So it's not so bad. But if I collapse the other flank as well, I don't get primary, and he's still getting primary, so we can do burns and stuff, and it just spiral out of control. Yeah. But luckily, 10 Vanguard just killed them all. It was fine, and we love that. It was fine.
Yeah, we do love that.
So that was great. And then basically and then at that point he was like, I can't really do anything over here now. Like they're both tagged. I'm not going to spend a CP to pull back and shoot 1 bike. And then he scores his 10s for the rest of the game. I get a burn. I denied primary twice as well. So I had I was scoring 10s, he was scoring 5s, and then I get the 10 but the 5 at the end. So I think the end of the score was like 80 something. 88, 67. So that's a great game. That's a 21 point difference, but it's not really properly reflective of how close that was. Because if he basically those bugs survive and kill what they should, like in his turn, he then like collapses that flank. I get like effectively 15 less primary because I don't get 2 10s and I don't get the 5 at the end, and then I don't get any of my cards. Because that's where I got containment in that game, and I got 6 points on containment in that like turn 4 on that flank. So if that flank can collapse, I don't get 6 on containment, I don't get 15 primary, and that's 21 points already. We're already at a draw, and that's without him scoring the 10s for existing there and burning. Very close.
Yeah.
And now I know that the Admech Leagues of Votann game is a really, really interesting game.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I'd say Admech are boring, as I've said before. Well, Admech's Qatari Hunter Cobalt are boring. With my build anyway. But that game was thoroughly enjoyable. I was like, I'm enjoying using my army now because like, they can kill me with violent efficiency, and I'm gonna pull some plays out of my ass to be able to do anything here. And I was like, 100%. This is fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. No, that's good. And as I say, I think Votann in general just quietly sitting in quite a nice spot in the game at the moment. They're not terribly exciting, but they just have a lot of good profiles. They just are durable. They can shoot really hard. They're very, very much one to watch if you do pair into it. Don't underestimate it, because if the pilot is good, it will be tough. Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, for my round 5, we already talked about it a little bit. So I was on stream. I played Alexander England. I was a bit knackered and a little bit rabbit in the headlights when we got the stream, but we had a great time. It was Scorched. He went first. I think that was my mistake. Was I then sort of relaxed? Don't relax. I was a bit like, well, I'll get one more burn than him. I think I'll be fine. And essentially what happened was that I didn't proactively push his primary enough in the early game. I was trading a bit too much on getting a little bit up on primary towards the end of the game. And Alex did a really good job of locking down his sort of safe side and stopping me messing with that. I think I'd always thought in my head the best area to actually mess with was his home objective. But then I gave away my Archon Venom and a few other things, gave them away too cheaply, and didn't have enough to make a push on that twice. I could only do it once. So I was always going to steal it at the end and burn, and I was setting up to do that from about turn 2 or 3. But I wasn't actually in any position to deny his primary because he shoved just lots of Marines and vehicles on the other 2 objectives and just made it really tight. And then it was coming down to cards, really, and I went down on cards. I went behind because I had terrible cards for the first few turns, which made it really, really peaky. And then we had a very good last turn, which basically came down to he needed to make a 10 charge to get an overwhelming force kill after I'd moved the Cabalites away with lethal intent, which he made, which then got him 3 more points. And then in my turn, I needed to retake that objective and hold 1 for extend and take and burn his home to make it an 85-all draw, which we just about succeeded in doing. So that was a very, very close, hard-fought game. And I think if I do a couple of things better in the early game, it's a small win to me, but I didn't. And that's a useful lesson. You've got to be very sharp and very on it for all 5 rounds of the event. And I dropped off levels just a tiny bit, almost got punished, just about managed to snaffle a draw, which in the end was enough for what happened next, Ed, because we went into the top cut, didn't we, Ed?
We did. We love the top cut.
We like the top cut, especially the top. It's nice. The sound of a hall being packed away as you play Warhammer with someone you know from the internet. It's good. It's nothing like it.
It's true. However, I was on stream.
Edward.
No. So
stressful stream.
Stressful stream, and it was on Burn of Trust, which we thought we would do a dodge, as we said earlier, but we did not.
Yeah.
As Tom said, it has just been moved upstairs. So we went, and it was miserable. I went first, which you think I want to do because I can move block, but I can't really move block Admech effectively well because it's one of those things where, especially on that board, on that mission, you can't move block both sides of the board without losing your army too quickly. So you have to sort of choose an area of the board to carve out and get yourself some primary and hope that they bounce in a few areas. And he proceeded just not to do that, which I thought was really rude, personally. Yeah. I think he didn't. I think he didn't get enough. I think he just killed me too much, to be honest. Which it's one of the big problems in that game. And it was one of those things. We had a really good game. We tried to go to a natural outcome at the end, so we had to like rush a few things because we were just told to. Like we had quite
which is never fun because there's always little things that get smoothed over, right?
Yeah, there's lots of things that got smoothed over. Also, like it's just like you could charge units where like we were playing fast and losing. I said, I'm going to go and away from the wall. I could charge them because they weren't away from the wall. And just stuff like that. And I was like, oh, fine. It is what it is. I say, not his fault. Lovely guy. It's just we were rushed at the end, and that was the result. It was a good game in the end. We finished up, and I came 6th in the end, so I was quite happy with that.
It was a really solid placing, man. And again, with Admech, who were a bit of a left field choice as well, where in a field of orcs, I think that's awesome. Really, really
Yeah,
cool.
well, I think we both did really well. I think we both had a really good overall event. And then we're going to talk about your round 6, Tom, aren't we?
Oh yeah, so round 6. I mean, as I say, my round 6 doesn't need much description. I am going to be rewatching The Last Samurai this week because it's one of my
Oh,
favorite films. But
okay.
if you've seen how The Last Samurai ends, there's a bit where all the lads on horses charge up a hill, and there's some guys at the top of the hill that have machine guns,
Yeah.
and that's how that went. It was beautiful and it was brutal and it was brief. Benjo's got some good angles, pushed out his trucks. You play Daka aggressively. You take up the space. You use Zod as a big jail. You push the trucks down, looking for the flanks. You have a couple of reserves units coming in. On these UKTC maps, you're suddenly like, actually, I can't play the game and not be shot now. There's not really a way of doing it. So stuff melted very, very quickly. I did some damage, killed a few bits, pushed a few bits out in reply, but nothing substantial. Orcs have an awful lot of stuff, and I was gradually enveloped in orcs and drowned. And I think if orcs go first, that's very much how that game goes. If the orc player plays it right, I need to go first and throw some stuff at him so I could at least distract him and pin him back a little bit and buy myself some time. But unfortunately, that didn't occur. So great game, and it was a delight to play. Ben, I was saying to him that I think. One of the first competitive games I played was at Beachhead against him. I was still brand new, and I had an Eldar list with Shining Spears in, and I played into his Iron Hands, and I ran into it and I died. And it was funny because this was the same experience, just years on. It was the exact same thing. I'm still running some Eldar with Shining Spears in. He has still got a terrifying gun army that I can't kill enough of, and I went out and died. But Ben is a wonderful player. And we had a proper giggle. Kevin Weaver from Vanguard was also there watching, and that was really fun. As was Adam Parmenter for a bit. So it was really fun. And it was. I titled my list "Last Samurai Elf Edition" because in my head I was like, I'm pretty sure I know how this event ends for me. At some point, it ends in a hail of Daka.
Yeah,
and that was exactly how it proved. So yeah. Interesting times.
It was very interesting, wasn't it? It was. I think it was one of those things where we couldn't really, especially with the Daka round, we tried to find a way to give it a game, and also exist on the table at the same time, and that was the kind of the challenge that we had. So yeah, it was an interesting event. I think we've gathered a lot of information.
Yeah.
From what we need to look at.
But
I enjoyed the event. It was good. And I'm really happy
100%.
with our results as well. So
yeah, definitely. No, I think it was a really good run. It was nice to we took interesting stuff out and had a good run. And I think it's the events themselves feel very slick, very well organised at the moment. It was a nice crowd down there. I think the South Coast crowd gets a slightly different crowd. It's quite a long way out, right? It's quite a long way down. It's not all the same people, but I was impressed at how big it was and how many people I did not know there. I think that's really nice that the scene is growing in different parts of the UK and that the UKTC is bringing lots of new people in, especially. So that was fantastic to see. And yeah, lovely to get out there and be a part of it. Thanks everyone who said hello as well. Me and Ed had a nice time chatting to lots of different people who were coming up and greeting us as well. So we have one more question from Sam in chat. Obviously, this is the last chance, guys. We'll be closing up and letting Ed go and have a nap. I think the boy needs to have a bit more sleep today. That's my. We've got a couple of questions from the chat though. So Sam asked, "What did you guys think of the new Top Cut rules?" So this is obviously having everyone undefeated in the Top Cut. What did you think of that, Ed, as a system?
The Top Cut system.
Yeah, so 2 rounds, everyone that's undefeated, and sort of a mini RTT in the final placings, really, isn't it?
We hated it.
I did wonder what you think. Wonder what you think. I know you would have driven home with Manny, so I'm sure Manny would have had thoughts about it as well.
So basically, the big issue here is number one was the rush on the stream. That was annoying.
Yeah.
That I feel like if that wasn't a stream game, would have been fine. And it would have come to a natural outcome, and we would have had to rush it in and all that sort of thing. So I feel like this stream basically impacted our game, and that should never be the case. I have streams at my events, and the stream should never be in a situation where it's getting involved in games, in my opinion. But like, it's not saying that the stream guys did anything particularly wrong. It's just I feel like they sort of underestimate the value of like, well, you can't really make a player do something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, as TOs, do what you need to do, but don't keep going over to the table. That's not how that should go. Like, otherwise, I'll just turn around and be like, well, I just won't play. Because if I'm not going to enjoy the game, I'm not going to play it. It's not against my opponent. My opponent was sound as hell. He understood where I was coming from. It's like, do you know what I mean? He was fine. I was like, the opponent wasn't the issue. Because I think the TOs were getting pressure from the stream and the boss to be like, oh, we need to get a natural outcome to the game. We can't like call it early and blah blah blah. It looks bad for the streams. Like, but to be honest, and this is my brutal opinion, I don't care if it looks bad on a stream. I don't care. Your stream has nothing to do with my weekend.
yeah, for sure.
That's my opinion. Same with David's. And David has a stream, right? And he streams my events, and he's great. His streams are really good, and he doesn't get involved. So I don't know. I feel like there was a bit of an issue there, but also the way it was ran. That's another issue. Like it should have been a champions like pairing system where tops play the bottom, top play the bottom, top play the bottom, top play the bottom. I guess and it should have been that, and then it should have been that again. So you have a clear winner effectively. So you give
that final round, you actually just those two at the top two are playing off essentially at that stage.
That's not what happened.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. I could anticipating what other players amongst the very top will say, and I don't typically sort of think of myself in those terms, so I'm a bit more chill about it. But I think people who are very consistently playing in literally those last couple of games, I think they will feel they want the decisive winner result, right? I think they will want that sense that they know, that the two that were in pole position played off, and that was it. And so they won't like feeling like they got leapfrogged or anything like that, right?
Exactly, because that's what actually ended up happening, right? Like, and bear in mind, I'm not saying that Ben wouldn't have won the.
Oh, not at all. No.
By the way, again, I want to make 100% clear: this is not a reflection of what I think of the players. The players did not have anything to do with this decision. They didn't agree with it either. And I'm not going to take away from the fact that Ben won that Super Major and he did fantastic. Not taking away from that. So I want to make that very clear before we carry on. However, it should have been a championship round. That's how you do these things, because that's also I believe that's how they've done it previously. And if there's no instigation as to how they're going to change, that's how it works. I think that should be how it's done, because that should be consistent.
Yeah.
At least if it is being changed, it needs to be mentioned that it has been changed, if that makes sense. Yeah. So in my opinion, it should have a championship round. So they said that would have meant that Ben plays either Manny or Brian. I can't remember who it was. And then but it just shouldn't have gone the way it was. It wasn't that situation. That was the issue.
It sort of presents that kind of that finalist dilemma, doesn't it? Which you see at smaller events all the time. Where you were in the final, you were nearly there, and actually now you drop right off and you drop down, and it can just flip things around a bit too much, which I guess isn't really what a top cut should be doing.
Well, the thing is, in a general tournament of like 50-something odd people, and someone's playing in the final and then drops down to like 7th place, that can happen, right? Because it's not a championship.
Yeah.
You've gone 4-1, you have points. That's just how it goes. Unless you're going off of like is strength of schedule, is that what it is? Where if you go 4-1 and then lose, because then you'd lost to the winner of the events, therefore you'd automatically be second and stuff like that. But then you have the separate issue of I lost against someone. I lost against someone round 1 and they dropped, and now my score's tanked because they're not playing the rest of the games. So it produces its own issues. No system's perfect. 100%. No. But there is one system that has worked consistently every time that we've had a super major in the top cut, and that's a championship like sort of situation, like the championship setup. So that's what it should have been.
So do you think like undefeated all play, then you have your just championship off that?
I think it's championship.
Job done.
I think it's championship.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That gets yourself to, and also means that if the people who are at the top keep winning, then they're going to be the first and second place. And that's how it should be, right? That's where I sit, in my opinion. But obviously, I don't know how that would have changed me, because I think I was in 4th place going in, so I wouldn't have played any of the orcs. I'd have played someone else, and then the orcs would have played another good bunch of people. So I feel like it might, because from what we were looking at, it looked like the first round was a championship. Whether it was just by chance that it was actually just random.
It did seem that way, right?
It seemed that way. So whether it was just
because the orcs didn't play each other. Yeah,
exactly. So it looked like it was that, or apparently it wasn't. So it was just by chance. So if it's by chance that happens, and then it happens again, it just feels bad. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, why wasn't this done from the off? And then it sorts out the situation. But it is what it is. Like, I think that's the feedback I would say for managing top cuts if you're going to get them all to play. Which I think getting them all to play is great. Gives everyone a chance to get there, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is great. But you have to do it in the right way. So for me, that would be the championship pairings. And that's it.
That's interesting.
That's
that makes complete sense. All right. No, that we'll leave it there. As I say, we'll be chatting on the stream on Tuesday night about whether we think the game needs an emergency patch. Spoilers, I think probably. So we'll hopefully see you all there. Thanks for tuning in. do hit the old like and subscribe. Do leave us a comment. Thank you, Ed, for coming on. I know you had a very long and difficult journey last night, so it's very nice to have you here. And well done this weekend. Thank you for all the cuddles. It was nice to see you.
No problem.
And of course, a reminder that we will take support in YouTube memberships if you want to help us that way. We really appreciate it. And also, if you're interested in learning to play them Warhammers a bit better, you can come work with me and Ed in our brand new coaching Discord anytime. Yeah. Just drop us a message on the internet. We'll help you out. All right, guys, you have a wonderful Monday. We are going to go and do non-Warhammer things for a little bit. See you later. Bye-bye.